What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Is It Poop? I'm your host, Patrick Maguire, top 40 powerlifter of all time, and the rules of the game are I squat and you guys guess which rep I poop. But before we go to the gym, because we got a pretty good squat day coming up, we've got to eat. What are we eating? We got our breakfast. We've got 2 bagels, 40 grams of honey, 3 eggs, 180 grams of beef, and a little bit of slice of cheese to make it all go down. And I did not share any with him, so he's very mad at me. The cheese goblin got no cheese. There was no cheese tax paid. Buddy walk. QA is doing a bit of grocery inspection, making sure I got all the right things and all is acceptable. And it's taking his gosh darn time to get through everything. All right, meal 2. He really wants it. He wants it more than I do. Stop! No! Go away. Got 245 grams of plain chicken. And usually what I'm supposed to have is rice with this, but I ran out of my rice. So we've got a calorie equivalent in sub rolls, because apparently I had that laying around. And I put some honey mustard on it, and I baked it up to try and make it a little crispy. I made it a little too crispy. So we're suffering, boys. Yes, he is all over the place. He exists. This is his world. We just exist in it. 215 grams of Cinnamon Toast Crunch with 16 ounces of Fairlife fat-free milk. And a little pup dog. Come back, buddy. He's mad I didn't let him eat my lunch for me. Alright, we are on our way to the gym. What do we have going on today? We are, I think we're like 10 or 11 weeks out. It's 2 months and change. So we're getting pretty close, and we're starting to actually tickle some respectable weights. So we've got a set of 5 today at 755. Now my PR for 6 is 800 pounds. So we're getting up there, but we've only touched reps once since the American Pro 2. And so we got to reacclimate ourselves to the pressures, and the best way to do that is through reps. And also, reps and wraps build character. So if you have trouble getting used to any sort of equipment, you should be doing more reps with it. And just wait for the comments to type in, I use this equipment, I don't need to do reps with it. I totally don't suck when it comes to compete, but practice makes progress, right, boys? Practice makes progress. So I just ate that pre-training meal, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty tasty meal, and you would think that I look forward to eating this meal every single training day, but alas, my beauties, I do not. It is a very large meal, and it makes me feel not so good. The amount of carbs that I have to eat every single meal gets me very sleepy. Like, everyone says, oh, it's tryptophan in Thanksgiving that makes you fall asleep, and I've supplemented tryptophan. That shit's amazing, but it's not the tryptophan that puts you to sleep. It's what helps you go into REM when you fall asleep. So you get better qualities. It doesn't exactly put you to sleep. What puts sleep is an overabundance of carbohydrate. So every single one of my meals, whether it's healthy carbs like rice or bagel, bagel is like, it's a stretch that it's healthy. It's not sugary candy, but this meal, 15 or 25s. I put the sexy in dyslexia. So it's a lot of carbs, and on top of that sleepiness, I get a little fidgety. And if I just sit around and not do anything, it doesn't feel very good. But it's like the moment I start to move, I start to feel better. It's like I get both the insulin response and a sugar rush at the same time. So I've got to use I've got my carbohydrate drink, which is, it's supposed to be 75 grams of carb powder and a scoop of essential amino acids. But what I actually do is I do 3 scoops of Gatorade, because let's be honest, Gatorade is just carb powder with a little bit of electrolytes in there, because everybody loves Gatorade. But the shit that you actually need isn't really abundant in there. If you want a recovery drink that is actually got a lot of the stuff that you actually need to recover, look at Element. that shit tastes disgusting, but it absolutely does what it's intended to do. Gatorade is a, it's based, not privatized, but commercialized recovery drink. Yeah, sugar is an electrolyte, but there's better ones out there. So if you need electrolytes, an electrolyte drink like Element or Pedialyte. Pedialyte's a pretty good one out there because it's low sugar and it's not going to cause a sugar rush. But Gatorade, I substitute out my carb powder because carb powders are very expensive for no fucking reason. So I've replaced it with Gatorade powder, and I can adjust how much Gatorade powder I put in there because the amount of carbs that I need for this intra-training drink that I sip on while I go is approximately one of those large Gatorades. So I put enough powder in there for that. I put about 75 grams of Gatorade powder in my intra-training. I put 2 scoops of creatine, and I put half a scoop of animal juiced, essentially amino acid, or is it BCAAs or EAAs? I don't know. Like I said earlier, if it tastes good, chances are it's a little bit more commercialized than what it's intended for. Animal's one of those old school companies where they have probably the best products out there when it comes to what you want, but it tastes like shit. So if you're not a puss, Animal's the way to go. Code Patrick at checkout for like 10 or 20% off. I don't know. But the juiced, I can only do about half a scoop of the juiced amino acids that I've got in my carb drink. Otherwise it starts tasting like cough syrup, battery acid. Not good. For a while I was adding in a packet of like individual serving Crystal Light just to kind of mask the flavor, but I switched up the flavor of Gatorade I have. I did have red Gatorade, and red Gatorade could probably charge a Tesla in a single hour because it's just such a, it tastes like battery acid, and it's just a bad flavor. Fight me, homie. So I went to Walmart and I was like, oh, they have more than just red Gatorade powder. Cool. So now I got blue Gatorade powder, and that's what we'll be drinking in between sets along with our regular water, because you want to stay hydrated, you want to stay energized, and you want to stay fucking huge, kids. So that's what we're doing, and I'm pretty much at the gym. So recap: 755 by 5, 665 2 by 4, 2 count pause, both wrapped, and then we're kind of, what is it, contralateral split squats and sit-ups. And we've also got our pre-training warm-up work to kind of focus in on that neural connection between the mind, muscle, and the center of gravity. So see you boys in there. Dog. Why did I say dogs? Whoo! Boy, stick a hot needle down my pee hole and call me a good boy. We had ourselves not a deadlift day, not a bench day. Gee willikers, you can tell that today was one of testicular fortitude based on how awful and terrible my brain is working, and my sentence structure is, oh good college. So we had squats today, and we gee willikers, my brain is so we worked up, and oh god, what the fuck am I, have y'all ever fuck, y'all have no idea what squat brain is. So we did pre-fatigue work, check, yes, we did that. Then we did the warm-ups for the squat. Fuck, I sound so stupid right now because I got I'm wholly unable to parse sentences together. Oh, good. So, we started warming up squats. We did the bar for 10, and we used a different camera angle because there was someone deadlifting in front of me. So, all my warm-ups, except for my last warm-up, were from the side angle. And I was really pleased to recognize that I'm not, I haven't taken a side angle in a hot minute. And I was like, what does my squat look like from the side? But, like, the only thing you can see from the side is depth. And if you don't have a depth issue, you don't need to take video from the side. But if you do have a depth issue, you should. No shit, Patrick. That's just a statement for the peoples. Fuck, this squat brain is harsh today. So, you should always take your videos from the front because that's the angle that you can see the most shit from. So, we did the bar for 10, 2 plates for 8, 4 plates for 6. Was it 6 or 5? I don't recall whether or not I was like, fuck it, what's 1 rep among friends? I believe this past weekend I said, what's 5 pounds among friends? And, I mean, if you follow that logic, what's fucking your homie's girl among friends? What's 1 hoe among friends? Am I right or am I right? Fuck, this squat brain is making everything sound like nails on a chalkboard. My jokes are falling flat. Like, not your mom. Your mom is beautiful. She should call me again. I had a good time. But she gave me a fake number. Luckily, I gave her a business card that said, looking for a good time, call Pat. And no one's called Pat. So we the first warm up with sleeves and a belt, unlatched belt, was 4 plates, and then we did 6 plates for a set of 5 with the sleeves and the belt latched, and then we did 7 plates, which is 685 with the 55-pound squat bar, and we took the sleeves off. We took the pants off because taking your pants off is a really important part of doing squats. Only when you're doing reps. I hate wearing shorts when I'm wrapping my knees because they get all up in my grills, all up in my way. Call me Nelly, because I be selling everybody grills and my grills have pants in them and it's annoying me. So I take the pants off and I put the singlet on, and I'm really considering modifying my singlet because the legs are too long and I don't like really long legs. I like my singlet pretty much as long as most girls' booty shorts are, because then it doesn't get in the way of anything. And when we're on the platform, they police our underwear, which is I never thought growing up I'd have adults policing my underwear. I was gonna say grown men, but at the American Pro it was all women, and I felt really weird. I was like, hey, I have to check in my underwear. Do I have to show you guys? And they're like, no, we trust you. I was like, okay, good, because I don't want to be exposing myself to unsuspecting females at a powerlifting meet. That would be awful. That would not be cool. So we threw the singlet on. The singlet fits really fucking well. And at this point, the gym was like, oh, Patrick's rapping? Cool. Fuck, that's a lot of weight on the bar. We're all gonna spot this. And I was like, okay. But like, it's only 685. And then I did the 685. First rep was good. Second rep, I nearly died. I got all the way onto my toes. I was grabbing at the floor with my toes, with how far onto my toes I got. And I was like, shit. I didn't need these spotters because I didn't fail it, but like, shit, that sucked. These witnesses witnessed something today, and it was not a good squat. And then rep 3, 4, and 5 were good, and they were all like, man, your rep 3 was your best rep doing this. I was like, yeah, because I decided to take my time. And then we popped up to the working weight of 755 pounds, which is the working weight. And like, it'd be cool if I could just throw on a plate instead of using a million different smaller plates in order to do the math to get the bar to the weight that I require to do my exercising with. So that was a detail that was probably not necessary. Just know that the squat brain is in full force today. So we jumped up to the 755, and it was really good. When I was warming up, I was debating. I was like, hey, should I jump directly to the 755? Because I'm doing 2-plate jumps, and the jump from 6 plates, it's like 6 plus a 25 and a 10 on a 55-pound bar for a 750 or 7 plates. So you go from 6 to 7 plates and change. So I was like, do I? But if I hadn't done that last warm up, I would have gotten on my toes with 755, and it would not have been a good time. So I took my time and was more deliberate with every single rep. So when I was doing the 755, rep 1 was good. Rep 2 was good. And then something interesting happened. So when I set my head position and my eye position, because I have eye cues, because what you focus on when you squat is actually really important. And if you have things moving in your vision, then things can get thrown off and it's inconsistent. So I have markings on the floor. I have a chalk X that I put on the floor, and I redraw it every time because it, like, people walk on it, so it like disappears slowly over time. But I have a white chalk X that my coach suggested that I use. So rep 1 and rep 2, I was staring at this X, and then something interesting happened. The X turned into 2 X's. I was like, fuck, which X do I focus on? So I don't recall what I focused on. Rep 4, there were 3 X's. I was like, fuck, which X? I can't even, like, I'm trying to focus on the middle one, but they're all the same X, and I know that they're the same X. So how do I focus on the middle X? Because I don't see, there's 1 X, but it's multiplied. And then the 5th rep, I was like, there's 4 X's now. So I'm just going to let my eyes glaze over and hope that my head position is in the right position. So that one was a little rougher. But, so my past training cycles, not past training cycles, but this current training cycle, after the Ghost Clash, what was it? The Ghost Clash 3 that I just competed in. We've been doing 3x8, and that 3x8 progression, we went from like mid 400s all the way up to 605, and learning that was a test of my testicular fortitude, and also it gave me a lot of opportunities to practice the proper form for performing the squats, because right before the American Pro 2, I got I got new hip. I started implementing the hip hinge. Do you break at your hips or do you break at your knees first? That's a question that a lot of newer lifters have. You break at your hips first and you hinge into it, and you put a lot of the pressure onto your hips and your quads, and you start that way, so that when you break at your knees, you're actually putting a lot of it on your patella and the smaller muscles in your quadriceps, which is, I mean, it's like playing just the tip, but eventually you get strong enough that is not, you can get away with a lot when you're not as strong, but as you get stronger and the weights get progressively more and more intense and probably killable, you got to be a little bit better with things. So humbling, learning to relearning how to squat like 3 weeks out from the American Pro 2, and it wasn't fully implemented. We used an accessory, segmented squats, where we segment the squat, we set our hips, upper body position, and then we squat. And I still, on the platform, I still did the segmented squat progression on the platform because it wasn't fluid yet. And then before the Ghost Clash 3, Joe and Bree implemented a new IQ, where I have a fixation on a spot on the floor about 3 feet in front of me, and Like, look at Brianni's recent training videos. She's doing the exact same thing. Look at my training videos. I'm doing the exact same things. And that fixation on a spot helped me better engage the neural. They said something about a neurological connection. Sorry, I got squat brain right now, so words and phrases are. You're probably getting some brain rot right now listening to me, and it's really odd because I'm trying to educate and my brain just doesn't work right now. But I'm not going to skip it because it is important if you're a newer lifter to understand. What was I talking about? So that was a cue that we implemented on squats right before the Ghost Clash, and I was still using an object on the platform. I actually used the head judge's feet for my item that I was fixating on. And then as we were going through this past block, coach was like, how are you cueing your lats? And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, you need to cue your lats. I'm like, but they don't really do anything. Like, if I pull down, I'm pulling down on the bar and the bar just feels heavier. He's like, are you just balancing the bar on your back? And I was like, yeah, buddy, that's exactly what I'm doing. And he was like, Patrick, these are not his exact words. This is the conversation I had with him within my head, because I'm just autistic enough that I don't actually converse with people too much, and I don't remember the conversations I do have. He was like, Patrick, you may squat 1,000 pounds, but you're basically at the level of a beginner lifter when it comes to actual like form. So as I have implemented these new cues and everything, my squats have become more and more consistent. I used to have this trouble where on second attempt squats, I'd always fold forward. It'd be a grinder. And then third attempt, it'd be like, whoa, yeah, never mind. I can squat. Just kidding. So this is making it more and more consistent. So the 755, every single rep looked the same. And I was like, damn, that's good. And like, once I got to a point where I was like, I am like, I feel like I might get into a position where I might be folding forward a little bit. And then like anime flashback where like the main character's parents die, or they were like molested by their uncle or whatever. The current anime trend is Eren Yeager's mom gets eaten like 1,000 times in Attack on Titan. And that's not a spoiler. That happens in like episode 1. But it's like every time that I was like, I kind of feel this, and like I want to fold over, but I know what muscles I need to implement and how to kind of chew on gravel to pull myself into the correct position. And I get that anime flashback to my 605 for sets of 8, and all those sets of 8 that really taught me that muscle memory and the testicular fortitude that I required in order to be a better squatter. And it really paid off. And I fucking hate that it's sets of 8 that made me a better squatter, because cardio is stupid and I hate it, but it's necessary. And then we had back downs at 665. I've been rambling for 15 minutes. You guys have probably already seen the video. Yes, I am shirtless. Nipple. Those were good paused reps. And I was talking with someone in the gym. It was like, were those 1 second pauses? I was like, no, they were 2 count internal. There were 2 count pauses, and I counted 2 in my head before coming back up. It was like, yeah, that makes sense. It was like, and we started talking. I think he's a physicist. He works for at BAE, the government contractor. But we got into this discussion about general relativity and how the perception of time is different. I get general relativity kind of, we did make one singular general relativity joke, but it was like the time for being in a pause with weight on your back, the time for, or like a second of that is the same as a second for a plank, which is the same as a second on the treadmill when you're trying to finish. And it's time, and then we were like, does time warp? And I was like, well, he was like, it's relativity, because you're in a different relative box, and so time does progress differently for you. And I was like, when you've got the general relativity says the more mass, the slower time goes. So I mean, when you're pausing a squat or something that's really heavy, it makes sense that time's going to go. But he's like, what about on the treadmill though? You're not lifting anything. And I'm like, and you're not doing any work either. And he laughed. He was like, yes, you are technically going 0 miles per hour. You're not moving at all, despite running miles. You run 0, technically, according to Newtonian physics. And that was a fun bonding moment between gym goers. And then we had our contralateral split squats. Last time I did them, I lollygagged and it made them suck. So this time I didn't lollygag and they didn't suck as much. They still suck because it's one of those where it's a movement that everyone can go really heavy on. You can do really heavy lunges, but the purpose isn't to go. It's a lifting maturity movement where you understand you don't need to go super heavy to do them. The goal of the movement is to increase your knee health. We beat our knees like a redheaded stepchild. We beat our knees like a teenager beats their meat the moment their parents leave their home. So we do this movement to stretch the knees out and kind of rehab the knees before they really tighten up from the recovery process. So we did that. That was the thing we did. And then we did sit-ups. Because despite being fat, just because you have a lot of mass in your core doesn't mean your core is strong. So we've got to make our core stronger. So that was the training day, and this analysis has taken almost 20 minutes. Congratulations, Patrick. The more you've talked, the more coherent you've been speaking, which is a feat in itself because speaking is still difficult. But I'm about to go inside, eat. For those of you out there who are just starting, this is called squat brain when you go really heavy. Because my eyes felt like they were going to pop out. My face went numb because I've popped so many blood vessels in my face. It's not anything concerning. It's not like a stroke or anything. There was one time at my old gym, I was trying to adjust the arms on the monolift and it's got screws. And I was like, why isn't this screwing in? And I texted the gym owner. I was like, I'm really concerned. It's not screwing in. It's not like you know when you screw something and then it it bites and it tightens and it gets to the bottom of the nut. I was like, someone broke it. The next day he texted me, someone just screwed it out really fucking far. And I was like, oh, I forgot righty tighty lefty loosey. So squat brain is a thing. But I mean, this is technically squat brain, but this is also how he talked to women. So the fact that your mom gave me a chance is I'm really appreciative of all of them. But also my vision is so bad right now because of the squat brain that like all of your moms are hot right now. Even Dorothy Mantooth, who we had a wonderful time, but I never called her again, and I probably should. But I'm gonna put a new t-shirt on because this one is absolutely soaked. I'm doing only 5 reps and getting a soaked t-shirt. I mean, technically I did more than I can't even math right now. I have a degree in math and I can't math with squat brain. Let that sit in. Anyways, food. Alright, so I've got 7.5 ounces of pasta, 225 grams of beef, 400 grams of pasta sauce, and I'm being held hostage. He's holding me hostage. If I let go of him, he's going to eat this meal. How many thoughts do you think are in that head right now? Okay. None. I have to find a way to eat this meal, but I'll see you guys. I'm gonna eat this meal and go to bed. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Patty out. I hit the stop with my nose.